Hello everyone, my name is Mahmoud Batish. I am a senior computer science student at Rafik Hari University, and in today's tutorial we're going to get started with GitHub. Understanding Git. What is Git? Well, Git is a distributed version control system. That's what you'll get when you Google it. But what does that actually mean? It's a system that tracks changes to our files over time. When we do any changes with our code or files, it will track them. And we can call specific versions of those files at a given time. We can go back and forth with versions, and it's used for collaborations on projects. Well, why do we use Git? Well, when you're working on a project, you'll have the final project, then you'll have the final project, final project v1, final project v3, etc. until you reach like version 25. And that's not an optimal solution. It will take all of your storage, and it's not efficient at all. As we mentioned, Git allows multiple members to access the code and collaborate. It also allows us to go to any previous version of the code in case our current version has any errors and we want to go back and check how our code was. Git also features branching, which is very important. It allows us to work on new features without messing up the original code. We'll be talking about that in a minute. And it's integrated to all IDEs like Visual Studio, PyCharm, and more. And now we have to learn what are repositories. Repository is like a special kind of database that stores the changes in our code. We have two types of repositories. Local, it's stored inside your PC or laptop and is only accessible by the user, which is you. It stays on your hard drive and no one has access other than you. And we have the other type, which is remote. It's stored in an online repository like GitHub, which we're going to talk about today, GitLab, and SourceForge, and even more. Each project has a repository page, which can either be private or public, depending on your preference, and all collaborators working on a private project can access it. And we're going to work with GitHub. It hosts your repositories online, as we mentioned here, remote, it's an online repository. It gives us access to millions of public repositories/projects. For future, if you're going to work on any projects and you need any references, you can search on GitHub and you'll see few relevant projects. It allows us to fork projects too, we're going to talk about that at the end, and many more features. Some key concepts we're going to learn today are repositories, commits, branches, and conflicts, and how to resolve them. In short, Git stores your source code, all its previous versions, and even your colleagues' work in a special database called a repository. So now let's talk about what is a branch. A branch is a parallel version of the main branch. It allows independent development without affecting the codebase, and each branch can be worked on independently, allowing experimentation and bug fixing. We'll elaborate more on what is a branch. And now, why use branches? Branches allows us to work on new features without disrupting the stable version. So we will have our main version of the code and we will have a branch of it. The branch we can work on developing a feature, it could be like any feature you can think of, and we can develop it safely in a branch without affecting the main code. This is used mainly like on websites, so we keep the main version running while working on a feature on a branch of it. It also allows team collaboration. Multiple developers can work on the exact same branch and finish the task, then merge. And it's efficient for bug fixing. It allows us to fix bugs on one branch while continuing other developments on another. And let's talk about the types of branches. We have the main branch. It is the default stable branch. It often contains the production code, which is the final most stable version of the code. And we have the feature branches. It's temporary branches for developing new features. We also have some other features like development branches and hotfixes, but these are the main ones that should concern us. So the main branch, it is the default branch. It contains the most stable version of the code, and the feature branch could be used for bug fixing, developing a new feature, and yeah, that's it. Moving forward, Here's an example of a branch. We have the main branch here, and we just did our first commit. We did another commit. Commit contains changes of the code, so let's say in this commit we uploaded the index.html or like file A, and in commit 2 we did some changes to it. Yeah. And after this, we want it to work on a branch. What we're going to do when we create a branch is going to look like this. We're going to do a branch that contains a separate feature for developing, let's say, the About Us page. So we create a branch called About Us branch, and we do our changes here. We like do the header for it, the footer, other content, and now after feature X is ready, what we're going to do is merge the code back to the main, and it's going to look something like this. And here's our merge. So now we've successfully, using branch, merged our feature to the main. And you might ask, we could have done it on the main branch. Why would we use feature X? Or why would we use another branch to do it? It's because branches are safer. The main branch should always contain the most stable version of the code. And the branches, you can here test the code, make sure there are no bugs, and after you ensure everything is working, you merge it with the main. And keep in mind that when creating a branch, as we said, it's a parallel version of the main. So we created the feature X at this point. Feature X contains all the commit 1 and commit 2. Now assume we were working on several branches, and another branch, like we have a branch here, other branch finished their code and merged it with the main while we're still working on feature X. What we're going to do is pull the code from the main, which we will be seeing in the video now to stay up to date. So my main point is to tell you that feature X, when we create it, it contains all the previous commits of the main. And now let's take an example of how the workflow goes. Here we have three users, blue, red, green, and each one is working on their own desktop. And we have GitHub. Well, in order to start a project, one of the three users has to create the files necessary. I'm going to take an example of Blue doing the process. What's Blue going to do is create file X. It could be the index.html, depending on the type of the project you're working with. After that, Blue initializes Git. And it's a very simple process. We'll be talking about it, how to do it. Blue, since he's the one creating the project, Blue goes over to GitHub. Blue creates a GitHub repository, and Blue pushes the latest commit to online repo. So we talked about what an online repository is, and he pushes the code. Pushing the code means taking it from your PC into GitHub. You can see it in the arrow. And after this process is done, red and the green go to clone the repository. And here, red takes the code into their desktop, and the green takes the code to their desktop. And upon cloning a repo, you also receive previous versions and other branches as well. So assume Blue has been working on the project for a while, and the Blue has made multiple versions and multiple commits. Red and the green will have access to them too. Blue can create their own branch to work on a separate feature. Red can create their own branch to work on another feature, and the green can do the same. Green can push the code to GitHub. Green can push the code too, and red can push it too. Here, they're pushing to the branches, and here's the main. The main remains untouched when they're pushing, because they're pushing to their own branches. Now let's assume that red is done with his feature. Red has tested that branch red is working successfully, and the feature is ready to be committed to be pushed to the main branch. So, and as we said, the main has to be the most stable. So after we ensure that red is fixed and stabilized, we can merge it into the main. And how do we do that? So red or any other user, it doesn't have to be red, red switches to the main branch and he performs a merge command. What happens is red will go to the main and he will merge red with the main branch. After that, red will push the changes to the main to confirm them. And now we have the previously discussed example. Here we have the main branch and here we have the red branch. At the start, user X, who could be any user, uploaded the files and user X fixed issue A. After that, user X created a new branch called red. Branch red could be an example of working on the About Us page. It could be anything, specific to a feature. And on that branch, user X added the slider, user X added the contact form, and added some padding. There could be multiple people collaborating on this branch. After branch red has been successfully finished, and we made sure that the testing is good, we're finally able to merge it on the main branch. That's because we want to maintain the main branch to be the most stable version of the code. So, user X will switch to the main branch and perform a merge command. And now, let's go download Git. In order to download Git, we go to our browser and search for Git. It should be the first link, git-scm.com. We go to downloads, and depending on your operating system, it could be Mac or Windows. I'm going to go with Windows. And 64-bit Git for Windows. And wait for it to download. And now once the download is done, we click on it. Click yes. Next. Next. This is because I already have it installed. Click next. 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 And make sure to select this option. Next. Next. And everything here is next. Now wait for it to install. And now Git is downloaded successfully. And now let's go set up GitHub. We go again to our browser and now look for github.com, and you have to create an account if you don't already have one. If you have, just sign in. And here, if you look, here are my current repositories, and I'm going to create a new one. Click on new. Here is our repository name. So, assume I'm working on a web project, or we're currently working on a tutorial. So it's GitHub tutorial. It's available. We can put description, it's optional. And if we set it to public, anyone on the internet can see this, thus view our code. And private, it's private. We can add a README file to like if we have a long description, what is the project about, and create repository. And now we've successfully set up our repo. And now let's initialize Git. And when I say initialize, I mean like here in step 1, we're going to create our first file and initialize it. In order to do that, we create our project, new, folder, and we can name it whatever. I'm going to name it GitHub tutorial. It doesn't have to be the exact same as your GitHub repo name. After we successfully created it, here we open the project and we right click, view more options, show more options, open Git Bash here. After Git Bash has been successfully opened, and since it's our first time using it, what we're going to have to do is configure our username and email. So we're going to write the following commands: get config global user.name, and here we write our actual GitHub username. So my username is Otish844 and click enter. And now we're going to configure our email: get config global user.email, and you use the email you signed up with GitHub. Here we configured our username global for every project, so these two steps are only done once. You just do them once, and from now on you continue with what we're going to do next. So yet we still have not initialized our repository. In order to do that, we simply type get init. Init stands for initialize, and see here when I press enter, the repo has been initialized. If you are not able to view this folder, it's because it's hidden. You go to here, view, show, hidden items. Here it's not shown now. You have to toggle it. Here. And this way successfully initialize the repository. And now let's create our first file. Click new, text, and assume this is the index.html. Yes. Okay. So what we have to do first after initializing the repository is linking it to our GitHub. And how do we do that? Simply by typing get remote add origin, and now we go over to GitHub, and you see this link here. You copy it, and you can't Ctrl V here, so you have to right click and paste and enter. This way you've successfully added GitHub to our repo here. So what this line of command does is get remote means the remote repository, and we add it to be named origin. So now origin contains our online repository. And now if we go over to GitHub and refresh, there is nothing here. Index.html is still locally. It's still only on our desktop. So in order to push it, we have to do the following step. First, we have to stage it. So let's check the status of our Git. So what does this mean is index.html is untracked. In order to do that, in order to make the file tracked, we have to stage it by doing the following command, which is get add. We could write index.html to be able to stage it, but assume you have multiple files. If you have 10 files, you don't want to name them name by name. So instead, we will be using get add dot. And when we enter, the file has been staged. So to check that, we click get status, enter, and here index.html is ready to be committed. So now we have to commit the file. We use the following command, which is get commit m. So m means a message. What are we committing? So since we created the index.html, we can say created index.html. So for better practice, the message has to contain what you actually did, because when you want to go back in versions, you have to go back to the commit to check. You can't just name it fixed some stylings, because that's not accurate at all. And now we click enter. And now, as you can see here, one file changed and our file is ready to be pushed. Keep in mind, the online repository is still empty. There's nothing here. And in order to take the file from our desktop into GitHub, we're going to do the following, which is git push. Since, as we said, we're pushing the code from our desktop to GitHub, git push origin. And now we're going to say into what branch. And since now we're only working on the main branch, I'm going to push to the main. Git push origin main. Enter. And it has worked. Now let's go check it. Refresh. And we've successfully pushed the index.html with the commit we wrote, created index.html. Now let's change some content in the file. We're going to take the GitHub tutorial, put it in an editor. Here it is. I'm just going to write hello from main branch. Okay. So now I'm going to push the code, since we did changes here. Hello from main branch. We can do the following. We have 3 steps in order to push the code. We just mentioned git add dot to stage the files, get commit and add a meaningful message. So you have to add what you did and be precise. For future, added a hello message. Enter. And now the final step is to push the code. Get push origin, and where we're pushing it to main. So we're pushing the code to origin, and as we mentioned, origin is our GitHub repository. Into what branch? Into the main branch. And now when I press enter, it has successfully pushed my code. If I go to the online repository and refresh and go inside the index.html, hello from main branch. Now what I am going to do is create a new branch. In order to do that, I can simply just type git branch and the name of the branch I want to create. Let's name it red. Okay. And now we're going to switch to branch red. Before we switch, let's view what branches do we have. In order to view the branches we currently have, we type get branch -a, enter. And here we have the main branch and we have the red. In order to switch to the red branch, we can do get switch red. And now, if you notice, we're on the red branch. Here we were on the main, and now we're on the red. And we can also use checkout, both work. And now if we want to go back to the main, we can go checkout main. Now we're at the main, and we can go back to red using checkout too. Checkout and switch are basically the same. And now, since we're at branch red, let's create our feature red HTML. So now we have feature red. We've created the file, and let's push it. We check the status, You don't have necessity to check the status, but we're checking it just to show you. Feature X is untracked, feature red I mean. So we get add dot, get commit, added feature red. And now get push origin, and here you have to take the precaution where you're pushing. Since now we're working on branch red, we're pushing to branch red. So get push origin red. Enter. And our code has been pushed to branch red. If we go over to the online repo and we go back and refresh, here we still have only the index. Why? Because we're on the main. If we go over to red, we can see both feature red and index. Go main. Now let's continue. Now we can simply, here we're on the red branch, right? So if we go back to the main, get checkout main, the feature red is gone. So now we're back on our main index.html. So now let's switch back to our red branch. Get checkout red, and we've got our feature red back. So assume that a user changed the red branch and changed F here in the red, and here he edited this file. Assume this is another user. This is another user editing. We commit changes here. Okay, so featurered.html has been updated. This is another user editing. And now if I go here, if I go back to VS Code, sorry, feature red is still empty, although on the online repository it has changed. So what we need to do is pull. So we're going to go here and same process as pushing, but now we're pulling. Get pull origin where from red. Enter. And now we've successfully pulled the code. And as you can see here, this is another user editing. And this is how we push and pull code from branches. After learning how to push and pull from branches, let's learn how to go back in versions, what we've been talking about from the beginning of the video. So first, let's just do a couple of more edits. Another edit here. Let's push it. Get add dot get commit we add another edit. As I said, you have to be more specific, but now I'm doing it in general as an example. Enter. One file changed. We can do the following: get push origin, and always remember where you're pushing. Here we're pushing to red. Okay, and our changes are online. Another edit. Well, now you might ask, how do we go back? Wait, what is it? Okay, how do we go back to this is another edit? Well, we do that by checking our log, by doing get log. This way we can see who did any edits. You see here, this is the reason we even put our configuration at the first, configuring our username and email. Here, we added another edit. We added a hello message, added a feature, added feature.html. We added another edit. So, assume we want to go back to here when we updated feature.html and added this is another user edit. So in order to do that and go to the updated feature.html, we have to copy the commit. This is done by selecting the commit ID, right click, copy, and here we can scroll down to all the previous commits. As you can see here, we created the index, added a hello, added red, updated, and we added another edit. To exit the log, you press Q. And now to go back to that commit, we get checkout, right click, paste. And now if you can see, we're back at this commit at the time we updated our feature.html. But this edit, this checkout is not permanent, as if we go back to our Chrome, our repository is still the same. This is only useful when we want to check the code in case to see how it was before we did a certain commit, and yeah. So in order to go back to our original, we simply get checkout red. And now we're back at our latest commit. And now you might ask, how do we make it more permanent? Since what we just did is just temporarily to view the code. In order to do that, we have to get the log too. We can do get log, but if you can notice it's very long here. So what we can do is use get log one line. This way we'll get a briefer log. So we want to go here, we copy, and we use the following command. But take care when using it because every other commit after it will be deleted. So it's very dangerous. You have to be careful. Get reset, sorry, get reset, paste, and use hard. When doing this, all the other commits will be deleted after it. So if we look here, after feature we added another edit. If we do get log one line again, it will be gone. Now if we go to our online repository here and we refresh, and we go back to GitHub tutorial, at the branch red, we still have 5 commits because our online repository haven't been updated. So we have to push changes. Get push origin red. And now we encountered an error because we reset it. So what we have to do is get push origin red hard. Force. So we force the push. And now it worked. If we go here, the commit is gone. Okay, so now we have successfully learned how to remove a commit, or like reset a commit, and go back permanently in code. But take care when doing it because it's very dangerous and you could lose your code over it. Now, let's learn how to merge. So, to go back into code, assume now that feature red is completely done. So, this branch is done. We did the testing, done, and the feature is ready. And don't forget, we have to commit our changes to the branch first. So assume this was like the last change. So to get add dot get commit feature red is done and get push origin red. And now our code is successfully in red branch. So if we go back to the PowerPoint, you can see here that when we want to merge, the user switches to the main branch and merges branch red with the main. And then he pushes changes to the main. In order to do that, user X checkouts to the main branch, user X perform a merge command, user X pushes changes to main. Well, let's do that now. And we're going back to our files for more visuals. And we need the get bash here. Okay, so now we're at the branch red, and here's the main branch. Check out main. If you notice, branch main does not contain the feature red. Feature left red HTML. Let's go back to feature red. Check out red. And here's feature red. So, theoretically speaking, after merging them, check out, we're going back to main. After merging red with main, branch main should have the feature red in it, right? So let's do that. So we're going to do get merge with what branch? With red. And if you can see here, branch feature red is successful now at branch main. And now, if we go to the online repository and we go back to the GitHub tutorial, main branch still does not have the updates. In order to do that, we have to push our code. Git push origin main. And here we didn't have to do any add or commit because our merge was automatic. We had no errors. In case of errors, we will see how to handle it soon. So now to confirm the concept, what we just did is we did a couple of commits on main branch. We created a branch called feature red. We did our feature red edits, changes, and we confirmed that it's working. Then we finally merged them both. And now main and red are both on the same level. So now we're going to talk about conflicts. And what actually causes conflicts? Well, the primary reason is that the same lines are modified in different branches. Definitely there are more issues, but this is like the primary one. So let's create a conflict on purpose. And before we cause a conflict, I'm going to show you how to delete a branch. So the branches we currently have are branch main and red. We simply do get branch dash capital D and red. And now branch red was deleted. So if we go back to get branch A, only main will be visible. So now let's create a conflict on purpose. We're going to create a new branch for demonstration purposes. Get branch. We're going to name it like conflict test. And remember, conflict test is like a parallel now of the main one. So if we go between the main and conflict test, they will be the same. And get check out main. Well, what we're going to do is edit the same exact line of code. So now we're currently at the main. I'm going to do one like hello again from main. And I'm going to push my changes, get add dot, get commit m, added a new hello again, and get push origin main. Now, if I go back to get check out conflict test, which is the name of my branch, it's gone because our branch was a copy of the previous commits. So now I'm going to add hello from conflict test branch. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same process, get add dot, get commit, because I'm now pushing to a different branch, conflict test, and get push origin conflict test. Well, here the commit was, it should have been like added conflict hello, but it's the same process, you get the idea. Okay, so now we can simply go get checkout main and get checkout conflict test. Well, now the problem is the exact same line of code is different in two branches, and get won't know which one to choose. So I'm going to perform a merge and let's see what happens. So when I go to get checkout main, because we're going to perform a merge, we go to the main branch and type get merge with the name of branch we want. So get merge conflict test. And when I press enter, I'm going to get an error. Okay, if you see here, it says automatic merge failed. And now, when you enter the code, if you see here, it's fine. You'll see error here. And it says, which one do you want to keep? So it allows you to change them. So what we're going to do, assume I want to keep them both. What I do is I delete the comments here, and now I have them both and I can do my edits in it. So after we resolve the issue here, we're going to have to commit them. Since the automatic merge failed, we now have to push the changes we made. So here we type get add get get commit fixed merge issue. And now we can simply push it get push origin main. And now the conflict is resolved. This is how we resolve a conflict. Well, to avoid conflicts in the first place, it's better practice whenever you're working on a branch to daily pull the code from the main. So whenever you go into your branch, you do a get pull from origin main while you're in the conflict test to keep up to date with every change and not have any conflicts arise. And if you remember in the PowerPoint, we mentioned that it's integrated to all IDEs. So if you go over here, you can simply, without using get bash, you can do any changes here. Did changes, okay, and we did changes here in index, and we can commit the message, then sync changes as in push. But I don't really think it's much practical like using get bash. But just to keep in mind. So now we've learned how to add, commit, push changes, pull changes, branching, how to merge branches, create a new branch, delete a branch, and resolve conflicts in merging. Well, now we have to learn how to clone our repository. So in case we want to collaborate on a project, how are we going to do that? What we're going to do is we have to first go to our GitHub repository. So we go to our repository, and now since we're in GitHub tutorial, we go to our settings and collaborators. You have to sign in to confirm and add people. Well, you can search by username or email. It depends on your friends. So we're not going to add anyone today, but assume I've been added. And this is the code that I've been open to. So I'm going to delete the GitHub tutorial here. Sorry, we have to close first everything related. And get bash. And now it's deleted. And I only have access to it through the repo, as if someone just added me to the repository. So what I'm going to do now, your teammates are going to have to do it, or your collaborators. You press here on the code, you click copy URL, and you can go to anywhere. If you're inside the folder or you like to work on the desktop, you open show more, get bash, and use get clone and paste what we just copied. And now it's cloning it from our URL, from our repository. So we have it here. Contains feature red and index.html with the same text. This is it. And each one can create his own branch as we said, or you can work on the same branch, doesn't matter. So to summarize, here are some commands we used. You can pause the video and check them out. And some notes just to keep in mind are Git is just for your source code and not large files like videos and data models, else upload them to Google Drive or OneDrive or somewhere else. There are much more many Git commands you can Google online, like get rebase, get fetch, and much more. You don't necessarily need to memorize them. You can keep a cheat sheet around at least until you practice and memorize. And remember to always pull code from the main branch. Always pull it to avoid conflicts in the future. This is a very important one to keep in mind, okay? And don't push to the main branch without making sure that your code is working successfully on the branch. So here's a task to do to ensure you've understood everything. So a team lead creates a repository. It doesn't matter who does it, just someone needs to do it and invite collaborators, as I did. And each member clones the repository by copying the code URL, then performing a get clone with the URL of the GitHub. Each member create a branch for their own feature or their own page, it doesn't matter. Try and add and commit files as I did, add, commit, and push. And finally, push your edits to the branches and merge them. This way you'll ensure your understanding of the material and everything else. Thank you for watching.